Okay, our fifth team to present is MindMatters. MindMatters consists of Brian Hamilton, a finance and MSIS major from Albany, Texas, Brittany Lavelle, an international business major from Costa Rica, and Merritt J., an accounting and MBA major from Arlington, Texas. Please welcome MindMatters.
Tonight. My name is Brian Hamilton.
My name is Merritt J.
And welcome to MindMatters. Mental health matters to us. We're one of the worst ranked countries in the world for depression and anxiety. Thousands of students across the country are aimless, hopeless, all while our suicide rates are already off the charts. I have experienced this issue personally. For instance, my first year here at Harding, I found myself meeting weekly to see the school counselor. Time and time again, the day that I would go in wouldn't truly represent how I was actually doing. You see, in these sessions, the counselor spends valuable time trying to break down the student's past week. It can be difficult for a student to recollect and fully represent their thoughts or emotions from days or even weeks ago. As I began to fully grasp this problem, I decided to get with my friends to see what answer the market currently has. As we see in our competitive analysis, there is no current mental health tracker designed specifically for school counseling. MoveFit, WorryWatch, and Headspace are all designed on an individualized basis. MindMatters bridges this gap. Additionally, we wanted to look at Timely Care, a telehealth service that Harding actually outsourced to for $140,000, which comes out to $30 to $35 a student per year, giving us a huge competitive advantage as we're $5 a student per year. Now here's how MindMatters is the solution. MindMatters is a mental health tracker that logs and tracks a student's mental state over time. The more the app is utilized, the more patterns and trends the counselor will be able to recognize. It is essentially a Fitbit tracker for a counseling session. Now here's a quick glimpse of what our daily check-in will consist of, in which all three components are some of the most fundamental aspects that a counselor will look to regarding their student. Additionally, through the game plan feature, the counselor will be able to input any goals for their students to pursue in the coming weeks. Through more effective and efficient sessions, students will be led to self-sufficiency sooner, and counselor workload will be alleviated over time.
Now, getting into our market strategy for MindMatters, our plan is to launch MindMatters in the fall of 2025, which gives us about an 18-month head start to go through beta testing and app development. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to approach school boards, college boards, counselors, superintendents, principals, anybody that really has influence over these students that are going through mental health difficulties. Now, how the beta testing is going to work is, for each school, we're going to offer 5 free students to go through MindMatters and work with our counselors on MindMatters, the app. Now, what this is going to do is, it's going to give us valuable information on how MindMatters is actually working in these school systems. Now, when we were looking at the market itself for MindMatters, we wanted to make sure that there was a dense market. Now, in the surrounding states around Arkansas, there's approximately 8.135 million students from the ages of 7th grade all the way through college age, which proves that we have a very strong and dense market to attack in the fall, of 2025. Now, with our financial summary, we're going to charge $5 per student for MindMatters, as Brian talked about earlier. Now, with break-even costs at around $100,000 for year one, we're going to need to acquire around 20,000 students for year one. So for example, if a school district had 20,000 students in it, we would charge $100,000 for MindMatters in year one, year over year. Now, with our most conservative approach to our growth, we're assuming that we can bring in around 40,000 students in year one, which give us revenues of around $200,000. Now, we have 3 different growth estimations for MindMatters: a conservative, moderate, and aggressive. Now, on the conservative end, we're assuming by year 3 with year-over-year growth, we can bring in net income of around $500,000. Now, on the most aggressive end, with year-over-year growth, we are assuming that we can bring in net income of well over $2 million.
As we conclude, we'd like to share with you some of the positive feedback we've already received. Counselors believe in MindMatters, and we do too. Join us as MindMatters makes a difference. We're asking for $50,000 for a 15% stake in Mind Matters. My name is Brian Hamilton,
I'm Merritt J.
and your mind matters to us. Thank you.
Thank you to Mind Matters, and we're going to turn it over to the judges for questioning.
Very excellent. This is an excellent app. It sounds like, I think it would be very helpful. I have a 21-year-old, so I know her and her friends all deal with it, and this would be awesome. I guess, so y'all have not actually started the app, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, I have a question. So you said on your beta testing that you were going to get counselors to work with you on, is that correct, with helping within the school districts?
Correct. So
Okay.
the market would be like counselors within a public school. They would give the student the ability to use Mind Matters. So if the student came in for counseling, they would say, here's this app, Mind Matters. We think it can really help for you to track over the time, in between our sessions, week to week.
Okay, so you really are focusing on just the schools, going into the schools and having them,
Correct.
Work with your-
7th grade through college age. Yes, ma'am.
so no professional counselors, just, well, outside counseling. It's all within a school district.
Yes, but we do want to add that some of the reporting through Mind Matters that could be very beneficial for overseeing mental health professional for, let's say, Harding,
Okay.
who might overlook the Department of Counseling.
Okay. So you're asking the school districts to come up with the money to pay for your app, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you gonna try to go through insurance if that becomes an issue? Like, could somebody say in the private sector? Are you willing to go through and carry it over to the private sector and then say through insurance, they'll cover your fees?
That's a very interesting question. As we develop this more and refine it more, that's an area we're definitely going to look into.
But for the first 3 years, we are going to approach just the school systems to that point.
What all revenue streams have you looked at? Because it seems like there are a lot of potential revenue streams here.
Right, so we've looked at, obviously, public schools, colleges, as well as private schools. The 8.135 million students didn't even include the private school base in those areas surrounding Arkansas. So those are some of the different revenue streams that we can bring in. As well, we also considered bringing in advertisement revenue for private practices. So like, if past those 3 years of going into the school systems, if we find that to be a market that is available, we can attack that through ad revenue as well.
What about like off-site counselors? You know, because I think originally you were talking about the app collects the data for the Harding's counselor, right? But it could also be also off-site too, right? No, another company.
Yes, absolutely. That's
Yeah.
the specific
Yeah.
scope as of right now is directed at school counseling, but it lends itself to get outside of that as well.
Hey, thanks. Just a basic question. I noticed in your map, you had Arkansas at the center of the kind of marketing range. I guess you're considering it the center of depression. I'm wondering, was this completed during football season? I don't know. I'm just asking. It was like, maybe why is it? Seriously. So this is fascinating. This is a great problem. It seems like one of the things you haven't addressed a lot yet, or we've heard about, is the design. Because you're going to need to get to the right questions, the right metrics, the right inputs to make it easy. And how you guys are, Dean Frazier oversees you, which gives you psychological issues. I know that. But how would you get the input on how to design this? How do you know what it should be as a program?
No, absolutely, and that's a great question. For how we will be approaching it, we'll use that beta testing year to really get feedback to see what they're looking for in it, what types of questions. For instance, Dr. Alexander here at Harding has some very good input that she gave us, and that's a person that we would like to bounce ideas off of once this moves along in the process of becoming a real app.
Okay, it seems like in the app, you're basically said you're going to have more features and capability than the other products on the market, right? Then you kind of got all the boxes you had on the left that were X and other people didn't have as many on the right.
Yes, but one of the biggest one of the biggest outliers of our competitive analysis
Right.
was the orientation towards the school systems.
Right.
So, while many of the approaches as far as software goes,
Right.
and questions would be similar, they're going to be specified for the counselor and their student.
Yeah, I guess to me, it seems like there might be a mismatch. You're basically saying we have a better product, and we're charging the cheapest price. So I'm questioning your pricing strategy of saying, we're the best product and we're gonna offer you the best price. Because if you're the best product, you should be able to command a higher price. It's really better for the students than anything else.
Right, so with our pricing, obviously we're still in the beta testing, so when we're going through this, we want to make sure that we have a product that's going to attract schools right away. Because, for example, with Harding, like if we go to a public school that doesn't get a lot of money from the federal government, like they're going to have a hard time wanting to fork up $140,000 for our service. But say it's a school district that only has 2,000 to 5,000 students, that's only a $10,000 to $15,000 hit for them, which I think will allow us to enter the market and get a larger grasp on the market.
Okay, it's a penetration issue. You're having penetration. So I'd encourage you to think about doing either universities or high schools, one or the other. Get your focus, get your sales focused accordingly, and your product focused accordingly, because it's a different breadth. I would just encourage that focus again for the first phase might be valuable.
Are there other products out there, or are the other products just more like a booking engine, meaning like your name, social security, when you want to book the appointment and all that, or are there actually similar products?
So in our research, we have not been able to find any similar products. I've seen many counselors since I was a little kid, and nothing like this has ever existed, which is why it stood out so much. As of right now, the main tool used is journaling, actual handwritten journaling, and that's all we can find right now.
So the rest of the apps are just basically, they're a booking app. I want an appointment on Friday at 1 o'clock or whatever,
Yes,
right? Yeah. Interesting.
So are you gonna make the app interchangeable, meaning if like you two are totally different, so you would probably have different questions. Can the counselor then adjust the app to say, you need this question, but you need this question, or I need to track this and then for you, and I need to track this for you?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. And as this progresses, customization within the software is going to be a pivotal aspect of it, because every student is different, every counselor is different. For instance, the level of risk that might be associated with a given student may lend itself to ask different questions.
So then that brings another point of, then the counselor does the adjusting or updating, or is that perhaps another service fee that you can charge to say we can customize each of your clients? And I know now you're getting into some privacy issues, which you can't touch, but is that something that you're looking at too, or is that even, I know we're talking in the future, is that something that you thought about?
That is something we thought about, and part of that is, and our idea of it is that we will provide a general template of what it will look like for the user interface on an app, and the counselor will be able to utilize the customization tools to fit their needs.
So for example, like a student that's going through anxiety, we might have a general layout for questions that apply to students with anxiety, but then if there was a student that was dealing with depression, it would be a different set of questions that they would go through on our interface that the counselor could also add to, that would add questions or take away questions that apply to that student specifically. But there are going to be templates that they can use for these questions.
Yeah, I think you're not charging.
Have you looked at, and I know there's a lot of gray area here, but have you looked at selling some of the data or generic data, to Pfizer, pharmaceutical companies, things like that?
It's not something we've considered yet, but with beta testing, we have time to figure that out, right?
You should have said, oh, sure, that we have, that's the candy.
Sorry.
I would say this, that I have a relative who has developed a software product to be sold to schools, high schools, who's in the market right now. You should consider looking at states where it's not a district by district sale, but it's a school by school sale, because some schools could afford it and a district might not. And that's maybe an entry point. You've got to get betas and tests to demonstrate the viability of the product, and then your value explodes. Right now, it's interesting.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, while the judge